Hello everyone, this is Adit back again with another video. So in this video, in this Spotify clone series, we are going to implement a Spotify API in our app. In the earlier videos, we have already created the authentication part, and we are successfully able to grab the token, access token, and that access token need to be passed to every APIs that we are going to call. Now in this video, I already tried to implement the Spotify API, and when you and it was becoming way too cluttered while we were just calling the API into the component, and that is not a good way to do implement it. So what we are going to do is we are going to implement some state management. I'm thinking of using Redux Toolkit, and because it's new, and we get to learn about this Redux Toolkit as well, and yeah, so we just implement it. So let's get started now. So now inside the Redux Toolkit, what we're going to need to do is install few packages. I kind of already installed all the packages that we need to implement the Redux. So these are the packages that you're going to need: type React Redux, and React Redux, and a Redux.js toolkit. So I have installed the types React Redux because we are using TypeScript, and React Redux and Redux. These are the required packages for implementation of Redux, right? So I have already installed it, so I don't need to install it again. And now we'll create a directory of Redux inside the SRC, which I have already created. Inside the index, I also created the index file, and inside the index, what we're going to do is import our config store. So let's just do that. Config store can be imported from Redux.js toolkit config store, and we are going to have a store. We will export this store as well. So export const store, and we are going to have config store, and we are going to have a reducer. So all reducer, we are going to put it over here. So first reducer that I'm thinking of implementing is the user reducer. Since we have implemented one API for get the access token as well, so I will try to refactor that as well. And now, since we are using the TypeScript, we need to define the types of this state and dispatch as well. So let's just do that. Return type, and type of store dot get state, and we are going to have another for app dispatch, and so it's going to be type of store dot dispatch, right? So this is what we are going to implement, and right now this is showing some error which we need to pass the reducer. So to do that, let's create let's create a directory called slices. Inside the slices, and these all the things like defining the types of the root state and app dispatch, dispatch, these are all available in the Redux documentation. You can just find it over there. And now inside the slices, we are going to create a slice for user.ts. And inside the user.ts, we are going to create our first slice, and this is going to be Redux Toolkit, and create slice. And now let's just define a state for user state. Let's have a use loading, which will be a boolean, and second thing is is authenticated. Let's just have it boolean as well, and const initial state, let's put the user state, and is loading. Initially it will be true, and then is authenticated. Initially it will be false. Right now we are going to use create our user slice, create slice, and inside that we're going to need to assign a name to this slice. So we are going to have the user, and then initial state, we're just going to pass the initial state, and after that we're going to have our reducers. Okay, so inside the reducer we will have to like change the initial state, like update the data, like normally the how a reducer works. It will be similar, it just some syntax has been removed, and it's better now actually. So now we can just have get user, let's have a state, and this is going to be a state dot is loading will be true, get user success, and it's going to have a state and payload as well. Okay, so we just need to put a comma over here, and now once we get some payload, like we can store that user over here as well. So let's just have user data, and over here let's just have user data as well. I think user data is it's an object. Let's just keep it this way for now. And user data, let's just have this. So we are going to get the user state dot user data is equal to payload, and then we will update is authenticated to true, and state dot is loading to false. Right, in case of error, like we can you know that like how to add the in case of error or everything. So now we are just going to add the user selector, and we are going to have state root state dot user const, and we are going to like export all the actions. So to export all the actions we are going to const, and we are going to have here like user slice dot actions, and inside the actions it will give access to all the actions that we have defined, get user success as well. And now we just need to export export default and user slice dot reducer. Okay, now we are going to create a function inside the, if you go to your app.tsx, not in the app.tsx but inside the login screen, I guess inside the login screen we have made this API call, right? So we will just move this API call to somewhere else, and like inside our slices, and then from there this API gets called, or everything will be handled from there. So now let's just cut it from here, we can just comment it for now, and inside the slices we can have this export const. This will work fine, and this requires an access token, so we'll get the access token for it. And that's it. We're gonna just return the response. And now if we go over here, we can just return sync dispatch, and this will be a form of app dispatch. Okay, so inside the dispatch we are going to call get user first, and now let's just have a try and catch, and let's install the access as well. Like sooner or later we are going to need the access. Actually this makes our life easier, so we are going to have the access. Yarn add access, just call this. Okay, so now what we're going to do is like const response, and we are going to have access. Let's just import the access over here. Okay, so now we are going to have our access, and inside the access we are going to pass the config file. And inside the config we're just going to have access. I don't know why this is not showing anything, so we can just have a config, and inside the config we are going to pass the URL. I think this is how it works. Like I'm kind of forgetting about this, so let's just go through the access documentation, and from there we'll get some idea like how to write the config. Here this is how you write a config. So, and there must be a way to like implement this in a TypeScript as well. So like defining its type, actually I don't know where to get the types. So we don't need the data, at least not in this. So for the URI we are just going to copy this one, and we are going to have this as a get request, right? And then we are going to have a headers as well. And yeah, I think that's it. Let's just comment it out, and we might need some of the stuff from here, like these things. And I know this should be a type of, let's go through this. XCS request, I think access request request config. So I just put it over here, and this will remove this error that we were facing. And now we have already added a sync over here, so we just need to await it. And then what we are going to need is like this stuff. After the I think the response dot data dot, we need to pass it to store this inside the local storage. We need to edit to json.stringify, I think. And then we're gonna need the ID as well, so I'm just separating it out and then storing it, so that we don't need to like destructure it, or destructure the user data object always. Response.data, just keep it this way. And yeah, if we just and we need to like get user success, so have it over here, get user success and response.data. This will work as a payload, like this will say save this data, assign this data to the user data that we have inside our initial state, right? And now we can just remove it. And as of now, I'm just add the console log for the error, like in case if there is error. Chances are there might be some error. Okay, so I need to add this config. So let's just do that. I'm just adding this configuration for this workspace for VS Code only. So like I'm not going to install the prettier or anything. JSON, and now we can have on format on save, it will be true. And we are going to have the prettier this, and you will have to grab this default formatter. So I'm just going to paste it over there, and this will set up our app for the just like we will have to like prettify our code just by using this one. So we just save it, and over here let's have a user reducer, import user from slices user, and we just passed it to user reducer. This removes that error as well. And now let's just save it. Yeah, so this prettify is working completely fine, and we can just save it over here, and this saves our data. So now what we're going to do is like we are going to call this action inside our login, but before that we need to wrap our components to like provider. So to do that, let's just add provider, which will be coming from React Redux of course. So let's just we need to import it manually, I think. Okay, so we have added the provider. We need to add the store as well. So let's just have store if we are apt to import it. Yeah, so here this is the store, and once we save this, hopefully everything should be working. Okay, I need to bring this aside here, and once we save all of this, hopefully this will be working. And this doesn't show any error. Let's just show for that. Okay, I think this one is working now. This is like our Redux implementation for the user is complete. Now what we're going to do is like we can just call that API. Okay, so to call that API, we need to go inside our login, and inside the login, here we will call the API. So once we get the response type success from this, and after that we will just implement that. So to do that, first of all, we just need to import the dispatch we're just going to use dispatch, and say it is not importing. So now we just import from Redux use dispatch. The hell, it is not importing. Is it coming from the React Redux or what? Is use dispatch? Yeah, use dispatch. So now we're just going to add like dispatch get current user, and we are going to pass the access token to it. So this will work now, and yeah, we can just try it. And once we get this, so okay, so once we get this, we're just going to navigate dot to home, I guess. Let's go to home. So the tab navigation, it should be capital H home. So let's just say that. Save it. Let's check this. Okay, so our implementation is working now, and as per the authentication, user is authenticated or not authenticated, we can just navigate the user from one screen to other screen. Like if we go to our app.js, and we can restrict this to be like so we can just get the state from our user state. So to do that, inside the app.tsx, what we're going to do is let's do something like const fetch user. Not fetch user. Let's check this authentication state. So to use that, we can just have use selector. Inside the selector, we will pass that state that we have defined over here, this use selector. So we need to pass this, I think. Yeah, inside the use selector, we need to pass instead of use selector, calling it use selector, we just call user selector. Yeah, it's completely fine. We just have user selector over here. So just go to login and not login here. Sorry, it should be use selector. Use selector first, and user selector. So use selector, we need to import it from the React Redux. Okay, and this is going to have is authenticated. So what we're going to do is like if is authenticated, else this one, right? If not authenticated, then the login screen will be accessible, and rest the home screens. So let's just save it. Okay, I think I'm getting some error. Oh, okay. So this use authenticated selector will not be accessible since we are using a provider over here. Okay, so instead of doing this, we can also have a like const is state, and we can have one use like use effect. Let's create a function const user. Just have it, and this will be a sync await. Instead of async await, we are just going to use const user is equal to await get data, and we are going to have the access token. And if user is not there, then set is authenticated to false, else set is authenticated to true. Okay, so and we're just going to have this as boolean, right? By default, let's put it false, and we're going to trigger this fetch user inside here. Okay, hopefully this will work. So this is working completely fine. And now in this video we are finally apt to like grab all the we are apt to like authenticate the user through the and implement the Redux as well. And the user now, if the token is already available, then user will just directly navigate it to the home screen instead of the login screen. And yeah, so okay, so this is it for this video. In the next upcoming videos we will get the playlist and everything. So if you like the video, consider subscribing, and thank you for watching.